You spend hours prepping and your players still seem bored. The silence at the table, the blank stares. You're starting to wonder if you're the problem. I've run D&D campaigns for over 25 years, and when things feel flat, it's never just one bad session. It's a deeper issue. So in this video, I'm giving you 6 ways to fix a boring D&D campaign by solving the real underlying problems, not just treating the symptoms. So your players stay hooked, your story finally lands, and you stop dreading game night. Okay, so here's something that took me way too long to figure out. Boring campaigns usually aren't boring because they're bad. They're boring because they're too safe. Think about the last time you were genuinely engaged with something. It could be a movie, a show, a game, it doesn't matter. There was probably some uncertainty, right? Some question about how things would turn out. But in most campaigns I see, and honestly in most campaigns I used to run, everything just works out. Sure, the characters might fail a roll or two, but in the end, the players always succeed. They always know what to do next. There's no real sense of risk. And the problem is, when your brain knows everything is going to be fine, it just stops paying attention. It's like watching a movie where you know the hero wins. You just zone out. So how do you fix this? I think you need what I like to call productive discomfort, not punishment. I mean, situations where players aren't sure what the right choice is, or where winning costs something they care about. Try this. Next session, drop them into a moment that hurts a little. A scout stumbles toward you, bleeding, gasping. They're flanking you. 2 days out. But you didn't hear it from me. He'll die without help. But if you stop, you'll risk giving away your position. Do you save him? Or leave him to bleed and carry that silence? Or maybe you're outmatched, low on time. You need help, and there are 2 paths in front of you. One leads to Sir Colren, Paladin of the Dimming Flame. Good heart, but his sword is broken. The other goes straight to Mirel Vex, that fixer your mentor told you about. Slick, connected. You know she will get it done, but you won't walk away clean. Each time, both choices are valid, but neither is safe. And now we're playing. Remember, this is not punishment. It's all pressure. Because when every choice has a consequence, your players stop guessing what you want and they start deciding who they are. Once you spot comfort issues, well, they're quite easy to fix. But the next cause of boredom, well, this one's sneakier and way more dangerous. Because it doesn't feel like a problem at all until your players start tuning out. This one messed with my head for years. I always thought good DMing meant being crystal clear, among other things. Players look confused? Well, better give them more info. They start asking questions about the world? Oh, must be time for a lore dump. But I noticed something strange. The more I explained, the less engaged they got. And it took a while, but eventually it clicked. Curiosity dies when you give all the answers too soon. Think about your favorite mystery movie. The director doesn't explain everything right away. They give you just enough to follow the action, but the why stays out of reach. That's what hooks you. And well, yeah, the same thing is true at the table. What I've learned is this. There's bad confusion, where players don't know what they can do, and this, yeah, you should definitely avoid. But there's also good confusion, where they're not sure what they should do. And that's a big difference. Next time your players hit you with, wait, what's going on here? Well, don't answer with a lore dump. Give them just enough to move forward. And then stop. Near the ruined temple, you find footprints. Huge, clawed, too big for anything humanoid. The locals won't go near it. They say it's cursed. But a merchant in the tavern leans in and mutters, "Those prints, they show up every few years. Always near places tied to House Phelan." Then he glances at the door and lowers his voice. "You didn't hear that from me." Is that the truth? Who knows? Leave some doubt. You don't say. Shopkeeper smiles, but they keep glancing over their shoulder. When you ask what's wrong, nothing, they say. But it feels too fast. Players can press, investigate, dig, but you don't lay it all out. It's not about tricking the players, it's about giving them something to chase. If they feel like there's more to uncover, they'll want to keep going. Knowing when to hold back is one of the most powerful tools you have as a DM. But here's the weird part. The same principle applies to something we usually treat as sacred: player freedom. Because too much freedom can be paralyzing. See, everyone talks about player agency like it's the sacred thing, like more choices always means more fun. And sure, being mindful of it is important. But here's what I've noticed. Sometimes too many choices just locks people up. I remember that one session where I was so proud of giving my players total freedom. You can go anywhere, do anything, the whole world's open, that kind of stuff. And they spent 45 minutes just arguing. Not the fun kind though, the frustrated, what are we even doing kind. So the next time I tried something different, I gave them a constraint. You've got 3 days, and there are 2 people you know could help. Lady Myla, principled by the book, slow to act, or Gorbaron, ruthless, fast, and already 2 steps ahead. Whichever one you trust, the other walks. And suddenly, they focused. The decisions got sharper. The session moved. It's like chess. The rules don't kill the game. They make the game. I'm not saying railroading is good, by the way. This applies for all the tips in the video. If your players come up with something cool on their own, great. Just go with it. But there's a difference between freedom and feeling lost, and totally free can mean no direction. So here's what I watch for now. If my players are spending more time debating than doing, that's a red flag. If they start asking me what would you do, yeah, I might have made the sandbox a bit too wide. I think the fix is not fewer choices, but clearer constraints, boundaries that focus the decision. Like, maybe there's a monster rampaging through the countryside, and the players only have time to warn one village. The other is on its own. Or a warlock and a paladin both want the party's help, but they're sworn enemies, so helping one means burning a bridge with the other. It's not a twist for the sake of a twist. It's more like a mirror. It doesn't just move the plot, it shows the players who their character really is. Because when players can't do everything, they have to decide what really matters to them. And that's when agency gets real. By the way, if you're thinking this is great in theory, but my players always just derail everything I prepare, well, I hear you, and that's why I created the Plot Engineering Blueprint, a short guide that helps you build stories that adapt seamlessly to player choices. Kinda like your story's survival kit, and you can grab it for free by clicking the link in the description. Okay, but even if your players are making decisions, and even if your plot holds together, there's still a reason your game might feel weirdly flat. Not broken, just kind of hollow, and therefore, yeah, a bit boring. Because there's a hidden mismatch that kills tension before it ever gets a chance to grow. Let me show you what I mean. I used to spend hours crafting elaborate villains, threatening kingdoms, writing detailed histories about why it all mattered. And my players would just, okay, guess we'll save the kingdom. No spark, no tension, no real investment. You know what did get them excited though? As the guards drag her to the flames, Gabriel, you lock eyes with her, and for a split second, you swear you're back in the orchard, climbing the old pear tree she always beat you to. You open the door just as the blaze catches the ceiling beam. The tavern sign, your name hand-carved, cracks in the heat before crashing down. You reach the riverbank. Horses gone. Footprints in the mud. And Elric's pendant, half buried near the waterline. That's when they started really caring. So I stopped building tension around my ideas and started threatening theirs. Players don't care about what you invent. They care about what they've made matter. So next time you're prepping, pay attention. Start with what's already on the table. Maybe it's the orphanage your bard helped rebuild, now under threat from a local gang. Or the old mentor the fighter swore to protect, who's about to be framed for treason. Or the weird little tavern the party bought in Session 3, suddenly seized by the crown. They created it. They chose it. So when it's threatened, it hurts. But, the good kind of pain. Your players will stop treating the plot like your story and start taking it personally. Now, try making a list of anything that came from player choices, backstories, or table moments. That's your goldmine. It's what matters to them. The hard part isn't building investment. It's noticing where it already exists and using it. So, okay, cool. You've got player buy-in. Emotional investment. The table's hooked. So why does the scene still fall flat? Well, the truth is there's one mistake even experienced DMs make, and it's not what you're running. It's how long you're running it. See, there's this moment every DM dreads. It happened to me so many times. The party is in the middle of a conflict. Stakes are real. As real as they can get in an imaginary world. I'm telling you, the goblins are very angry, and the trees are very, very tall, and the princess is very, very scared. But instead of locking in, my players are yawning, glancing at their phones, grabbing snacks, mentally leaving the table. I thought I was doing everything right, and yet somehow it was still dragging. That used to confuse the hell out of me, until I realized it's not about fast or slow. It's about matching the speed to how much your players care. I used to drag out every conflict because I thought, we're all secretly here to roll shiny dice, right? It's how you build tension, isn't it? But watching my players, I realized some problems they wanted solved fast, like random encounters, minor obstacles, or social encounters. Dragging those out just felt wrong, kind of like homework. But there was the other stuff, the stuff they really cared about. They wanted to savor it. They wanted setbacks and ticking clocks and complications. A second shot when the first plan failed. It had to matter. So now I use what I like to call a tension thermometer. High investment? I try to slow it down. Maybe add layers, let it cook for a while. Low investment? I cut to the chase and avoid wasting table energy. By the way, if you'd be interested in a video where I go more in depth on techniques to make high investment moments truly intense and only focus on that, well, let me know in the comments. I'm toying with the idea, but I just want to make sure you guys would be interested. Okay, so here's how you diagnose that high versus low investment thing. Are your players actively listening, asking questions? Is their entire body engaged? Congratulations, they want more. Are they scrolling, looking away, not answering to their character name? That's the signal, just move on. So what does that actually look like? Well, let's say the party is escorting a random merchant through goblin territory, and someone starts yawning. Don't roll for perception or describe every single hill or whatever. Sometimes travel is just travel. Just say you make it through, but something's off. When you reach camp, one of the merchant's crates is missing, and he swears he didn't touch it. Don't drag it out. Toss in a detail and just keep things rolling. But now, let's say the party is confronting the noble who murdered the paladin's brother, and let me tell you, she loved her brother. Well, now you slow things down. You zoom in. You repeat what the NPC says, twice if needed. You ask the paladin, what is going through your head right now? You describe those small details that make all the difference. His hands don't shake, but his voice does. You let the silence stretch. You give space for interruptions, for questions, for hesitation. And suddenly the game breathes. This really did change how I prep. I used to prep how long scenes should last, and I don't anymore. Now I try to predict how much players will care and adjust the pacing in real time. And most of the time that's all it takes. But once in a while, things still drift. Not because the story is weak or the pacing is wrong. It's like something else is getting in the way. This one is big, and most DMs never even think about it. Okay, hear me out. Every table has a limit. Right, what do I mean? Well, I think there's a max amount of complexity your players can juggle before their brains just shut down. It's got nothing to do with how smart they are. It's just structural, because there's a disconnect between we're here to have fun and the amount of information everyone's tracking. I learned this the hard way, running overly ambitious political intrigues with, Many factions, countless scheming NPCs, plots nested in plots, nested in plots. I thought I was being clever, but the players just forgot they were playing a game. When players get overwhelmed, everything feels boring. Not because it actually is, but because they can't keep up. They slip into survival mode and just tune out. So here's what I started doing. I call them cognitive load audits. Anytime a session feels heavy or weirdly flat, when prepping for the next one, I take a moment and I ask myself, how many NPCs are on the board? How many open mysteries are still hanging? How many choices are they juggling right now? If the answer is kind of a lot, that's your red flag. And here's what you do. You collapse roles. Combine two NPCs into one. You close loops. You give a clear answer to at least one mystery. And you offer defaults. Let players follow a strong lead instead of staring at a blank map. Okay, you want an example? Well, you could say, you know what? You're not sure what's going on with the masked assassin, but you do know the Thieves Guild might have answers. Do you want to go there? This is not railroading. This is just throwing a rope to players who are drowning. You give them a handhold, you cut the noise, you let them climb back into the story. I'm telling you, it might feel counterintuitive, but every time I've simplified a game, it ended up feeling richer. Because something simple that players actually follow feels a whole lot more sophisticated than something complex that no one can keep track of. So next time everyone's zoning out a bit, maybe it's the weight. So now you've got 6 tools you can use to fix the most common issues that make D&D campaigns boring. But here's the twist. Even when your story's strong, your prep's clean, and your players are hooked, something can still feel off, like a weird silence, a strange vibe. A session where everything should work, but somehow doesn't. So click on this video next to find out what the problem is and to learn the one skill every DM should master to fix it.